All right, guys. So we're gonna hop on. So we're doing the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. If you're watching, I am your leprechaun trainer today, Joe Haas. This is fun, Sam. Thanks for doing this, man. I like having fun. I really like not taking myself too seriously. So you helped me do that. So I want to say thanks, man. So we're starting on page 67.
Yeah, man, of course.
We're starting on page 67. And guys, this is, I love this stuff, man. Like, I don't know if you see my face, I love MREA Day. Again, I'll keep saying this. I've read this book every year since I've been a realtor, and every year it just reads differently, man. And I'm in a different place, and that's why we kind of do that here. This is all mindset stuff, right? So again, I'm gonna call on some people to read, I'm gonna point out the things that stick out to me, okay? And this isn't about me, it's about you guys. So if there's some stuff that you want to share as well, please feel free to stop or whatever. We can make this kind of like a mastermind thing. But this is all in mindset, and I love it, right? So I'm gonna jump right to page 69. In the middle of the book there, well, this is on work to learn before you work to earn, right? In the middle there, it says, through experience, top agents have learned to differentiate between what is truly important, what can be delegated, and what can simply be ignored. Lauren, I thought about you when I read that again. So again, I'm going to read that. Through experience, top agents have learned to differentiate between what is truly important, what can be delegated, and what can simply be ignored, right? When your house is under contract on the MLS and it had multiple offers and it says in bold letters, no more showings, offer accepted, and then 3 realtors text you to ask you for the HOA documents, those texts can be ignored, you guys. That's what that means, right? Next page, I highlighted, how many agents do you know who truly study the business of real estate before they enter it? I know I didn't. And I don't necessarily think, well, the key there is no one does, right? Like nobody does, Gary Keller even says, he's like, I studied, and the last time Gary Keller said he went to University of Texas where they have a real estate program. He said during that entire real estate program at the university, no one told me I had to go out there and find business. Like they never told him he had to go out there and find leads, right? So now we're on page 72, and this is awesome, man. We're talking about our big why, right? Your big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus. I love when he dives into the analogy about, like, have you ever seen someone the day before they're about to go on vacation and they're like just cruising, like they're focused, like, sorry, Bob, yeah, I don't care about the football game. I don't care about what's for lunch. I'm going to get out of here a half hour early. I'm going to pack my bags. I'm on my way. I'm going to go to bed early and go to the airport, whatever. That's how I feel every morning, man. I pop out of bed. I'm psyched to get started with you guys. On the next page, 73, he goes on to talk about, now imagine if you could live every day with such purpose. I turn the page and we go to the conversation that Gary and the friend conversation. I'm going to ask, I assume, Sam, you have your book in front of you. In that
I actually don't. It's at the office.
Okay. Catherine, you have your book?
Yeah, I do.
Cool. On page 74 and 75, it's the conversation about working for money, right? And on page 75, he goes on, and I underline this. The last thing that he says in the conversation, he says, we all do. Try looking at it this way. I also need a certain amount of money, but the difference is I've never worked for money. Never even really thought about it. When I wake up in the morning, my big goal is to do my very best, to be my very best and grow as much as possible. Any money I've made is simply a byproduct of my constant pursuit of personal growth. That's why I set big goals and work so hard, right? And this is why I encourage everyone to be learning based, right? Come from curiosity. When you're just growing, everyone around you grows and you just keep growing, and that's it. So, this also prompts me to kind of say, what when it comes to money, money is good for the good that money can do, right? Like if you, that's all. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Catherine, will you read the paragraph right under that on page 75? It starts, so you have.
Yeah. So you have to be careful when you're trying to discover your big why. We hope that what motivates you isn't just money or a comfortable retirement. The truth is, you can achieve those things faster than you think. Then, if you're not careful, you'll be left with a lot of life and little reason to live it. We hope you're getting in touch with what truly motivates you. Maybe you love to do the deal. Some of the best agents I know love nothing more than a difficult negotiation that gives them a chance to really shine, to acknowledge objections, to discover a solution with which both sides can be happy. This is the kind of big why that doesn't easily fade.
That's good. Thank you. Cool. Thanks for reading that. So on the next page, he talks about, he asks in the middle of the page, he stops and asks, like, what's your big why, right? I underlined at the bottom of 76, the quote from Good to Great. Just as important, striving to be the best you can be will keep you from pulling up short and settling for good and letting just good enough be the theme of your life. In his best-selling book, Good to Great, Jim Collins declares, good is the enemy of great. Few people attain great lives in large part because it's just so easy to settle for a good life. Yo, when I talk to realtors, the number one response is, I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, you are? Okay. And I highly doubt that person feels like they've reached their full potential or they're really content, man, right? And by the way, I don't really ever want to be content. The vast majority of companies never become great precisely because the vast majority become quite good. And that is their main problem, right? Is there anyone here that would like to share their big why? Or should I call on someone?
I know I had a lot of trouble coming up with mine, Joe. It still took a while, and like you said, it can change, right? And it probably has changed a few times throughout the year. I think one of my big whys was just be in a position to help out family and friends when they needed that, whether it was real estate related or not, obviously, but just to be in a financial and a life position to have the time and resources to be the person in my family who can help. That's
awesome, dude. Thanks for sharing. There's someone in your family that does that currently, correct? That you looked up to?
Yeah, absolutely. My uncle is one of 6 on my mom's side, and he's the guy.
Yeah. And what would that mean? What would that mean to you to be the guy?
I would just feel like I was like relied on. You know, that would be good for me. I would feel like people could know, the people in my family and my friends, like the bigger sphere, could know that in a pinch or in some sort of situation, they could reach out and ask for something that they might not ask of somebody else.
That's awesome, Sam. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for getting vulnerable. That's awesome. That gets me fired up. Lauren, did I see you raise your hand?
Yeah, but I like Sam's better now. He's so selfless. I was like, I just want to travel and like see the world. I'm curious about the world and the food and culture. So to me, that's a big why. And then also, you know, family and friends. But yeah, it was mostly just travel, but Sam's is better.
Dude, that's awesome.
I want those things too. Those are awesome.
Okay.
Jill Keating, share your big why with us.
So I've done a lot of work on my why just from like my past experiences, and I do the vision boards, I do the whiteboards, and I journal, all that stuff. So it changes, but I think that mine completely changed because I used to have this crazy corporate job. I used to work in the city. I used to have my own money, and then I had kids. And I realized I couldn't travel to LA once a month and have a husband that traveled too. And so I had to step back, and I wanted to be a mom more than anything. So then I had the kids, and then I was like, wait, I still want my own money. Like, I'm made for more than this. So I then enter you in this whole new journey because I don't I think when you have kids too, you start to say like, I don't want to say no. Like they want something, and the last thing you want to do is say no. I want to go to Disney World. I want to do the vacations. I don't want to say no. We don't have money, and I don't want to ask my husband for money. So I want to do my own thing.
I love that, financial independence. You don't have to go to Los Angeles because you look like a movie star right there. Geez, Louise. Thanks for sharing that. Awesome. Anyone else want to share a big why? Cool.
Okay,
Yes.
I will.
Yes.
My goal, my big why is to buy a house next year and make up for some of the money I lost in business over the years
There you
and
go.
have a house down the shore to leave to my grandchildren. That would be nice.
Look at that. Thanks, guys. That's beautiful. Thanks, guys. I love you guys. That makes me feel really good. Cool.
I've got one.
Nice. Coming in hot, Stephanie Morrison.
Hey, writing a contract as we speak. And we might actually get this one. So my
right.
big why, it's, it's a little bit dark, but whatever. Years ago, I found myself in a really bad relationship and didn't have any money or any home to go to. And that's when I decided to do real estate, because I never wanted a female or, to be in a position where they couldn't leave. And it became really important to me to have my own home. And I'm going to keep my own condo forever. I mean, now I'm dating the nicest guy in the world, whatever. But like, that's why my big thing was, when I got into it, was telling like young women, like, you can do this on your own, have your own place, never be in a position where you can't leave. And so that's really like my big like drive, that, and I want to make money.
Thanks, Stephanie. That's awesome. Thanks everyone for sharing. That's pretty rad.
That is awesome.
Girls make a strong world.
That's right. I know who runs this world.
So I can, I have patience.
All right, cool. So I'm on page 78 now. Hold on one second. Give me a second. I should have had this prepared. Where's my Zoom? All right, cool. So now we're on page 78. Think big goals and big models. Can someone read the first two sentences on the second paragraph, starting with if anything?
Can.
Yes, Will.
If anything, the power behind having big goals is really about the power of acquiring big habits by beginning with the end in mind. The professional habits you build will either empower or restrict you. What you must understand is that your habits will either serve as an empowering platform for the next level of your success, or as a restricting box trapping you inside your current level.
And then big goals are about reaching for your true potential. I just underlined that. Thanks, Will.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to think big, right? So, Lauren, what's our big goal? Where are we going with this thing?
500 units.
500 units, right? And so you and I, when we work every day, we talk about acting as if, right? It's funny, another boiler room reference, right? Act as if, right? So if we walk around like we're selling 500 units right now, do you think that we will sell 500 units?
Sure.
Yeah, of course, man. We're just creating that the way it is now, right? Page 79. I have this highlighted. It really is that simple. Your task is to internalize this concept that in order to become your very best, you'll have to think big and have big models. The habits that you create will either help you reach your goals or hamper your attempts. Warren Buffett points out that most people discover too late that the chains of habits are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I like that. Now on the next page, on page 80, I love the think big goals and big models chart, the graph down there at the bottom. So these is what they outlined here, where you see 2.5 million, 5, 10, 20, 40, 80 million. Every one of those is a ceiling, right? And you have to reinvent yourself to bust through each ceiling, right? So different habits from different people will require different things, right? So You know, a lot of people can walk around and sell 5 houses without really doing much of anything, you know, but you can't just walk around and expect to sell 50, right? You have to do things different, right? And on our team, we have a saying, you know, the Joe Oz group, we do what people are not willing to do so that we can have what other people don't have. And that's really the truth. On the next page, 81, let's see here. On think possibilities, I have, wait, let me see what I wrote here. Before you can move forward, you have to unload the wall. Yeah, okay. So on the next page, they talk about figure 4, right? Which is pretty much what I just said. He says, before you can move forward, you'll have to unlearn your old models and old habits and reinvent yourself with appropriate models and habits to support your new, larger goals. Number 3, think possibilities. At the bottom, I just have underlined, do you really think it's possible to become a truly high achieving real estate agent? In my mind, it all comes down to your affirming or non-affirming answer to this question. Do you think it's possible? Who has a book? Who's got a book? Can someone read that next page? The next paragraph where it starts with, I believe there are 3 stages.
I'll read. I believe there are 3 stages of possibility thinking that people can either get stuck in or go through. Nothing is possible, something is possible, anything is possible. For many people, nothing is possible because they just don't think in terms of possibilities. Thus, they take no action and nothing happens, just like they thought. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, please.
For most, something is possible because they believe in the power of possibility thinking. They believe that if you think something will happen, it probably will. The problem is that they have an erroneous mental map that says thinking possibilities is all they have to do. And since possibilities thinking by itself is so powerful, they do end up with something happening, but it stops there.
Awesome.
Going?
No, I think that's good. Yeah, so there's 2, thanks, Bridge. So there's 2 types of people in this world, right? There's yes, how, and no, why people, right? The yes, how people are like, if I'm like, oh, hey, Bridget, we're gonna sell 500 houses, you're gonna be like, oh, cool. Like that person gets, the yes, how person gets excited, like, oh shit, how are we gonna do that? Cool, let's do it. You know, the no, why person is like, oh, how are you gonna, why would you want to do that? Or don't you make enough money? Or, you know, why would you do that? Or how are you gonna do that? You can't do that. Like, we are yes, how people. We are not no, why people. The no, why people can see the door fast, like really fast. Like, I don't want them around me, right? Like I spent too much time in my life I was brought up as a no, why person, right? And to change that, like what Gary talked, I'm passionate about this stuff because I read this and I just changed it, man. It's like kind of happened. And now, what's that?
I was just going to try to interject. It's hard enough to do hard things if everybody's certain that it's possible. If you have somebody hanging around you that just is like, has for whatever reason, some constant feeling of gravitating towards what you need to know what can go wrong so that you can avoid it. But if all you can see is that half of the equation, it just makes it so painful and so hard to do anything worthwhile or useful. And then that's how people get trapped into things. There's a fear of failure for whatever it is. But that when I first met Joe at America's Cup, the most famous cup of coffee in our team, like the phrase that he used, yes, how, yes, how, and no, why, like that 4-word distinction kind of summed up a lot of like things that, you know, you deal with people that like just don't, for whatever their reasons are, can't believe in something bigger than what they can see in front of their face. And it's okay. It just can't be in the same room as you trying to do something different or new or hard or useful. I don't want to say useful as to discount something else. If you're trying to build rockets, you can't have people that think that's only for NASA in the room while you're trying to solve that problem. You may very well fail. If the bigger the problem, the higher probability of failure. We may not ever hit 500 units. We haven't done it yet. It's not certain that it's going to happen. It's possible, but people that think that only people can sell 20 houses a year or 100, whatever ceiling they're going to put on top of it is not going to help us get there any faster or whatever. It's just, it makes it 10 100 times harder.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, real fast, you glazed over something really profound.
Yeah. Give it to me.
And that is your upbringing. And it's something that I thank you for being vulnerable with all of us and so honest, but it's so true. Our programming, whether it was a previous job, parents, the constant know how. So for me, I change it. Like, I don't know if you guys can see it. So I make it know, like KNOW, like know how, instead of no.
I love
Like,
that.
so when I'm around that kind of an environment, right, what Gil's talking about of the, like, when you get the Debbie Downer wet blanket, just be like, well, let's know how we're going to do this. Like, instead of no as a negative vocab word, like, turn it around on that, because you're so right, 100%, Gil. That will, like, it kills the energy, it kills the mojo, it kills everything. So if you can turn that around as a leadership position, especially, that's profound. And to acknowledge, Joe, what you're talking about, like the upbringing of we've all got baggage. And if the sooner that you can, like, acknowledge it and break through that, huge growth potential can happen. Huge. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And by the way, people, like Lauren and I have been spending a lot of time together. We've been talking about teaching people how to treat you. Like, a lot of people don't like me because I'll tell you what I think about you because I don't have time. I'm like, you know what? You're a really negative person. I don't think that we're going to be friends. I will say that to someone, or I'll be like, you know what? You're just not really thinking big. I don't think this is a good match. And they'll be like, yo, that guy Joe's kind of a jerk. And I'll be like, it's fine, dude. You know what? It's fine. You know, like Stephanie Morrison asked me what type of printer to buy in the house. You know what I mean? I'm like, get out of here with that. You know? Anyway. Hey, Joe, what staples do you use? Anyway.
I'm never, ever going to live that down.
Yo, Derek Riley asked me what my signs are made out of. I don't know which one's, I think that one's worse. He was like, yo, what are your signs made out of? And if I could have thrown my phone at him, I would have.
Made out of bullshit. Shut up.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you for taking my glory.
All right. Listen, guys, I don't want to fight anymore. I'm going to move on. We're going to pretend it didn't happen. I feel like we went from a really nice moment to a not nice moment, so I apologize. Think without fear. Maybe I know why people don't like me. Anyway, think without fear. So anyway, 84, think action, right? Yeah, this is just like the analysis paralysis thing, right? Like, you'll see people, this is like a how to win with me, how to lose with me. The way to lose with me is like, yeah, like the analysis paralysis thing. Like, they're just thinking, it says here, instead of actually pursuing it, they leave the raft of their salvation on the shore and decide to think about it some more. They hide behind continual inaction while calling it something else altogether. Inaction. I have a friend right now who's trying to start a business, and he's been preparing to start this business for 2 years. And he complains about how he can't get it off the ground. He's just not doing anything. And it's not in real estate, but like I try to tell him, like, dude, just get started, man. Like, and we're gonna go into failing forward and how important that is. Let me see. I love in the top of 85, it says, truth be told, most high achieving real estate salespeople have something of a natural advantage. They naturally tend to be decisive and have a high sense of urgency. I also wrote this, like, there's so many bad realtors crushing it because they're just doing it. They're just doing it. And they're so good at just doing it. Like, and they do it horribly. And when you do it so much, so horribly, you're going to put some deals together. And some of them put a lot of deals together, you know? It's like the motion creates a motion thing. And it's bonkers. And like, I was like, oh my God. And they're just doing it. And I'll see the smartest person on earth just trying to figure it out, or I got to get my SEO right, or I got to send out 6 months of mailers before I start calling that neighborhood. Or, I got to do this. It's like, like Jill Keating, she's like from day one, she's just doing like social media posts. She's doing this. She's like just trying stuff and getting it going and starting momentum. And like, it's fun to watch. Just don't, just get started. Just start. Screw it up, please. Please screw it up as fast as you can. And if you're aligned with this organization, you're probably not going to screw it up. Like, and whatever, dude, like call Lauren after this call and ask her how many mistakes her, I, and Gil have made this week alone, right? Like, she'll be like, oh, I can tell you about some, and it's going to keep happening because we're going to bust through those ceilings and we're going to keep moving forward. We talk about progress, not perfection. That's it, man. Right? It's just, we want progress, man. It doesn't have to be, and that's my problem. I want everything to be perfect. That's a huge problem. Like, I want everything to be perfect. I want it to be finished, done now, but that's just not the way it is. And if I say something that I want you guys to really hear is that in this organization, we give you permission to fail forward. We actually encourage it. Like, we want you to make mistakes. Like, I want you to screw it up. Like, the sooner that you screw it up, like, I have like I talk to you guys, like Will and Catherine, and, you know, like, and they're like, guys, hey, Joe, this didn't work. We screwed it up. But what's really cool is I figured out that now I can do it this way and we're good now. You know what I mean? Like, that's really, I hear that often from you guys, and it's really great. Because if you know it doesn't work, you can get a lot closer to what does work, right? Page 87, think progress. I underlined, statistically speaking, the more you try, the better your odds at succeeding. If a scientist tells you the odds are 1,000 to 1 against your achieving a particular result, they're also saying that if you attempt it 1,000 times, you're guaranteed to achieve that result. If you guys, there's a book called Go for No. It's like a really easy read. It's like a $7 book on Amazon. It's like 80 pages. It's just a story about a person who, Jill just said she read it, right? It's a story about a guy who, I think he like meets his future self, and like they talk about, instead of like, he's counting the yes, he counts the no's. He knows how many no's he needs to get a yes. So every time he gets a no, it empowers him to pick up the phone and make the next call. If that makes sense. It's a fun read. I read it in like one sitting. It's super easy. Excuse me. On the next page, progress is about quantity and repetition. Successes are the numbers. You know, like I don't know if Will's on the phone. Will, you like your pipeline, dude, like your pipeline, that thing, I hope it gets you excited, man, because that's massive, man. Like, and you're doing it, man. You're putting in the reps, right? Like, that shit is in there, man. It's so cool. It says progress is in the quantity and the repetition, success in the numbers. Between you and Catherine and everybody, the amount of people that we're talking to and relationships that we're building that are going to pop, it's pretty massive, man. And if you don't see it, I see it. It's cool. And it's all in the repetition, man. It's gradual and then it's sudden. It's a hockey stick. You know, I say it over and over and over. It's cool to watch. Hey, Gil, do you have your book?
I do not.
Okay.
My apologies.
It doesn't matter if you have the book, because you already know what I'm going to talk about, right? So I'm just going to read this, and I'd love for you to, I don't know, you said something once about this. I'm going to see if anything pops into your head. On page 88, it talks about the story about the ceramics teacher who divided his class into two groups. One would be graded solely on the quantity of their quality, and the other would be graded solely on the quality of their work. He was very straightforward about his grading criteria. The group graded on quality would produce one pot, which needed to be perfect to get an A. The quantity group would have all their pots weighed. If they had produced 50 pounds of pots, they got an A. If they produced less, their grade would suffer. The results were quite revealing. Gil, do you remember what happened? What the results were?
You're killing me right now.
That was for Bridget. Yes, Joe, I do. The people that had the chance to iterate multiple times or a whole bunch of times in rapid succession had way better pots than the people that just tried to make it perfect the first time, because they had no chance to fail and learn from the mistakes and improve.
Thanks, dude.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Thanks. So we say time on task over time wins every time, right? So time on task wins every time. Cool. So now on page 91, let's see. Dude, this is I wanted to share something with you guys. There's like I'm gonna pop this in here. Let me share my screen. So I'm showing you guys a YouTube video. So I don't know if you guys have seen this before, the Arnold Schwarzenegger 6 Rules of Success speech. I'm gonna play this for you guys. It kind of aligns with where we're at right now.
Of course, people ask me all the time. They say to me, what is the secret to success? The first rule is trust yourself. But what is most important is that you have to dig deep down and ask yourselves, who do you want to be? Not what, but who. And I'm talking about not what your parents and teachers want you to be, but you. I'm talking about figuring out for yourselves what makes you happy, no matter how crazy it may sound to the people. So rule number one is, of course, trust yourself no matter what anyone else thinks. And of course, rule number two is break the rules. We have so many rules in life about everything. I say break the rules, not the law, but break the rules. It is impossible to be a maverick or a true original if you're too well behaved and not want to break the rules. You have to think outside the box. That's what I believe. After all, what is the point of being on this earth if all you want to do is be liked by everyone and avoid trouble? The only way that I ever got any place was by breaking some of the rules. Which of course brings me to rule number three. Don't be afraid to fail. Anything I've ever attempted, I was always willing to fail. You can't always win, but don't be afraid of making decisions. You can't be paralyzed by fear of failure, or you will never push yourself. You keep pushing because you believe in yourself and in your vision. And you know that it's the right thing to do, and success will come. So don't be afraid to fail. Which brings me to rule number four, which is don't listen to the naysayers. I mean, how many times have you heard that you can't do this, and you can't do that, and it's never been done before? As a matter of fact, I love it when someone says that no one has ever done this before, because then when I do it, that means that I'm the first one that has done it. So pay no attention to the people that say it can't be done. I always listen to myself and said, yes, you can. And that brings me to rule number five, which is the most important rule of all. Work your butt off. Now, I always believe leaving no stone unturned. Muhammad Ali, one of my great heroes, had a great line in the 70s when he was asked, how many sit-ups do you do? He said, I don't count my sit-ups. I only start counting when it starts hurting. When I feel pain, that's when I start counting, because that's when it really counts. That's what makes you a champion. That's the way it is with everything. No pain, no gain. And let me tell you, it is important to have fun in life, of course. But when you're out there partying, horsing around, someone out there at the same time is working hard. Someone is getting smarter and someone is winning. Just remember that. But if you want to win, there's absolutely no way around hard work. None of my rules, by the way, of success will work unless you do. I've always figured out that there's 24 hours a day. You sleep 6 hours. You have 18 hours left. I know there's some of you out there now and says, well, wait a minute, I sleep 8 hours or 9 hours, but then just sleep faster, I would recommend. Just remember, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in the pocket. That takes me to rule number 6, which is a very important rule. It's about giving back. Whatever path that you take in your lives, you must always find time to give something back. Something back to your community, give something back to your state or to your country. Let me tell you something, reaching out and helping people will bring you more satisfaction than anything else you've ever done. Remember those 6 rules. Trust yourself, break some rules, don't be afraid to fail, ignore the naysayers, work like hell, and give something back.
So Arnold knows what's up, right? Trust yourself, break some rules, don't be afraid to fail, ignore the naysayers, work your butt off, and give something back. I always love that.
Sleep faster is the quote of the day.
What is
That's
it?
awesome.
Sleep faster.
He said sleep faster if you sleep for 9 hours.
It's true. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, there's a whole, I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. I can nerd out on
Great.
that speech, but there's a couple different variants of it. But yeah, he goes deep into it and he talks about, being in college and being an immigrant and lifting weights and, being working construction all at the same time. On page 92, when we finish up, think competitively and strategically. So breaking the rules, you guys, that's like thinking strategically. The last sentence of that part on page 92, it says, start where the rules stop and challenge your competition to catch you if they can. Gil, you said that to me at some point in the beginning when we were like running, you're like, catch me if you can. And I thought of that line in this book, and it's true, man. Like, you've got it. I always say, like, in our MVP, like in our mission, vision, values perspective, right? So like, let's see here. Like, I just have it here, right? The first, like, our slogan is, we are doing something different. We're playing a different game, right? Like, if you guys have seen, like, people get really confused when they interact with us, like realtors. They're like, you know, like, we're doing something different and we're just playing a different game, right? People just don't see us coming. And we're breaking some rules, man. Like, we're not breaking the law. We're not being unethical, but guess what, man? We're kind of doing something different. And catch us if you can. So then it talks about standards. I can't talk about standards without thinking about the show Dexter and Gil and the comparison to Gil Olson. Is that like the first episode where he like kills a guy and says, I have standards?
Yeah, somebody
Probably.
else said I was a serial killer, and I was like, what? I'm kind of nice. And then they're like, you're like Dexter. And then I was like, I need to understand what this is. I had never watched it, and it is in the first episode.
It's like, it's awesome.
By the way, I've never killed anybody.
Yeah, we have standards. Okay.
Arnold says break the rules, not the law. I'm not a murderer.
And not yet. Give it time. Give it time.
I have no intentions of harming anybody.
Okay, well, this is being recorded. So page 93, when you have the right staff, that same staff that can take you to 20 million can probably take you to 80 million. And it's all about who you hire and the standards to which you hold them accountable, right? I have standards, and I want to surround myself with people that have standards as well. That's important to me, right? So we talk about accountability, right? And someone who doesn't have standards will view accountability as like picking on them or looking over them or trying to micromanage them. Someone who cares about you, Gil, I don't know what you're doing. You're playing. It looks like you're playing around. You know what? I'm going to move your desk out in the hallway. Remember, I don't know if the teacher did that to you. They did it to me.
She's got to go off for cash. I just saw the chat, and Jen said she's got to offer cash or keys for somebody in Hampton, and I was laughing because she's a hero.
So some people say standards be just like paying attention during a training. I don't like little stuff like that, you know. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
shots fired.
Gil's like, I'll fire you. Anyway, number 9, think service. Oh, this is important, man. Think service. They have a servant's heart and place their buyers or sellers' real estate experience above all else. They're always thinking service. In their quest for huge sales success, many top agents may not always show their competitors this service side, but trust me, it's there. That goes back to our mission statement to help our clients achieve their goals, right? On page 94, it talks about the having a purpose, right? This is huge, actually. I don't want to glaze over this. So the purpose. Top real estate agents always have a clear understanding of why they should be hired, and they are able to articulate it to anyone at any time. There's a name for this, and it's in the 4 conversations.
I know the first part, but not the second part. Second part's so hard.
What?
I'm not good at this, Joe. Can we talk more about this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'll explain it really quickly. I know for a fact that what we do is completely different. And I just got an email from somebody today who just doesn't have the facts straight. This is what we deal with. We've not perfected. I would say that we're probably in the top 5% of anybody that can sell a house in this part of New Jersey. In terms of integrity, competence, expertise, negotiation skills, the whole package. I feel confident that we're definitely in the top 10%, probably in the top 5% as shooting from the hip. I feel confident in that. Communicating that to clients that don't know us is such a high bar. And that's the thing we need to unlock in order to really have it down. The things that we've done to close everything in the pipeline, but the book of wins and whatever, it's just the facts on the ground are, a lot of these deals would not have happened with nearly anyone else. And it's so hard to communicate all these multiple complicated stories to somebody who doesn't understand and actually has not only doesn't understand, you're not starting from zero with especially cold relationships. You're starting from they have inaccurate maps of reality in terms of what's valuable in somebody to sell their house and how the market and the industry actually works, has worked, is working, and will work during the course of their thing, and where we fit into that picture in this transition period. This is something that we're struggling with or that I know is a roadblock to 500 is, okay, we've cracked the code to be in the top 5% at scale. Communicating that value proposition efficiently and the amount of time that you get with somebody's short attention span and the cold thing is just, that is our struggle right now. If people knew what happened for Fernwood, Churchill, Harmony,
Moly, all of them.
whatever, the whole pipeline, people, the phone would be ringing off the hook, and like early 2000, whatever. The phone would literally be ringing for people to try to have us represent them. Instead, they go with their cousin who is nowhere near the thing, and they say that Berkshire Hathaway is a global company and Warren Buffett is a part of it. That is the problem that we face going to 500. And that if you're an individual agent joining us from the team or whatever, you differentiating yourself about why even if you're in the top 20% or whatever, you need to articulate why I always tell people, like, I'm not the number one agent, but I believe that I'm the number one fit for you in this house at this time, and here's why. And you need to be able to succinctly say that, and that's something that I definitely struggle with.
Thanks, Gil. What were you gonna say, Sam?
One second, my dogs are going crazy. Oh, they're good. Yeah, I was gonna say I struggle with it.
Am I right?
I'll say.
All right. Can I talk?
Hey, I'm back. Hi. Yes. Hi. Hello. They're 13 years old. They're still kind of crazy. Yeah, I was saying I struggle with the same thing. Well, I'll go on appointments or I'll be in meetings and I'll have, good conversation, all that sort of stuff. And like, then I'm driving home maybe, and in the car, I'm like, I didn't say anything about why they should work with me. Not a single thing. I just like tried to have the conversation, and I, not that I get stepped over, but like sometimes they'll say these things and I'm just like, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, that's not right at all. And they'll talk about value of their home, that sort of stuff. And I'm like, nope, that's just wrong. And I don't quite verbalize. Not only that, I know a different answer, but why I know the answer, that's more important, like what the experience I have. So that does not come out in my conversations. Comes out in my reflections, but not in the conversations.
Thanks, Sam. Well, that's kind of, I think what you're doing is failing forward. I'm going to share something with you guys that, dude, so yesterday, Dan Beer, know what he said that I wrote down? He said, we had a mastermind yesterday, and he said, our industry is becoming the few who do and the many who don't. We were talking about the challenges in the industry right now, what's going on, the future, like everyone's planning, like Brett Secor is like, he was like, we're going to have to be like the real estate team that does New Jersey. Like that's like, this stuff is happening quickly and the industry is being shaken up, and that it's true, man. Our industry is becoming the few who do and the many who don't. So you're either going to be on a real estate team or you're going to run a real estate team that's going to be operating at a super high level. The agents that aren't doing a lot of business, the shift that's about to come, like whatever, like right now we're in a shift. Like it might not be the shift or the shift everyone's talking about, but we're in a shift. Like I pulled the numbers, Dan pulled and Gil, this is why I sent this to you, right? So Dan pulled the numbers in Sandy, like so we have Jennifer Warner, she's somewhere in the Midwest, and she's like having trouble with listings and things like that. And then Dan pulls up, Dan like squashes it. He's like, dude, let me pull up my MLS. And the numbers are the same for listings, right? And he's like, this is probably gonna look the same. They're just selling faster. And I was like, I don't think that's true, man. And then I pulled up our MLS, and there's 50% less active listings this month than there was last month, right? And there's 30% less new listings, right? So those numbers are real, right? And so that's a shift. Does that make sense, guys? Like, it's not the shift or the market crashed or any of that. It's a shift, right? It is a shift in the market. And what that looks like is things are being squeezed, right? Does that make sense? Like, things are being squeezed, and like agents are going to get squeezed. There's not enough business, you guys. Like, there's not enough. So when we say our industry is becoming the few who do and the many who don't, that's what's happening, right? So like, you guys are on, if you watched Gil's video, Are You Lounging in the Deck Chairs? Like, we are the real estate industry is the Titanic, like heading to like the iceberg, and like the Joe Oz group, like the groups that are getting together, all this stuff. That's like the lifeboat off this thing that's going to survive and stay in this thing. And then just like any other shift, the market share that you gain is the market share that you keep. It's a massive, massive opportunity. And really, to go into all that, talking about your wall of value and your value prop. It's funny, man, because 6 years ago, you'd just be like, I do professional photos. That guy doesn't, like that was it, man. Like, that was it. But now, because Gary Keller talks about in this book, the 4 stages of a real estate market, and like the real estate market right now is not at the top. It's like, when like you're on the roller coaster and you're like, oh, here it comes, like you put your arms up in the air, like that's where the market is right now. And that's exactly the point where everyone gets their real estate license. They're like, like the dope, like the best party on campus, like you don't hear about it. It's like midnight or 1 or 2. And by the time you get there, people are like leaving. You're like, oh man, like, or whatever. Or like Springsteen's at the Wonder Bar and it's like, oh shit. And you get the word and you're riding your bike as fast as you can. And he's playing his last song. He's walking out. That's what's happening in the real estate industry right now. Gil, you're muted. I don't know if you're talking to somebody.
Yeah, you're muting me. You might be able to call that a high point.
Yeah, correct. And so, I don't know what's wrong with you. So anyway, to address this, this just goes back to, there's a very low barrier of entry into real estate, and the consumers are just confused, man. I don't think it's on us and not being able to talk about our wall of value. I can say, we did a whole training on the language of real estate. Last night or 2 nights ago, I'm watching reruns of Sopranos and I'm like typing up all our wins, because Will Hickey is like, yo, what really helped is when I had a script for Locust. And I'm like, okay, my job is to help Will, right? Or my job is to help you guys. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay up a little bit later tonight. I'm going to write up some wins, just to give these guys some ammo or whatever. And so we have it, man. The 700 houses sold, the whatever. You can keep it going and going and going and going and going. The reviews, all that. But that doesn't mean shit, because the realtor who has never done anything, they're like lying. Like, they're going in there and saying their number. I swear to God, my first listing appointment, I was like sat at this table and the homeowner said to me, he's like, you're the 3rd guy we interviewed. Apparently all you guys are number 1. I never forgot that. That was 2008. I never forgot that guy said that to me. And I'm like, oh my God, he's right. We're full of shit. We're all full of shit. And so like, they're just confused because it's $500. Guys, last year, Evan Beach was teasing me. I think he was teasing real estate. Like, he sent me a link to Groupon. The real estate exam was on Groupon. Like, get your New Jersey real estate license was on Groupon, you guys. That's ridiculous. That's embarrassing, right? So like, when that shit happens and all these people enter into this platform and everyone, like the barista, I would say the barista or whatever, or the hairdresser, something gets mad at me. But when everyone has the real estate license, like
the lifeguard.
Yeah, or lifeguard or whatever. Or it's like, I picture that meme with all the Spider-Mans pointing at each other. Like, dude, there's just like, people don't know what to like, dude, they don't know, they can't tell the difference, man. So if you take anything from this, it's not you. And what I found, what Joe Oz found, what I think is, you just need to have more conversations. That's it. If that guy doesn't see the value, it's not you, right? It's because 14 other people came in and whatever. One guy, I don't know. That's it. It's about, we're going into another training right now, which I'm going to try to keep to a half hour, but like, it just goes into getting in a relationship with people. That's it. Having more conversations, finding the people that are like you that you can connect with, nurturing that relationship and keeping it. Cool. That's it, man. That's pages whatever to whatever. It's pages 61 to 97. We're going to, did I cover anything in chat here? Or is everyone just like teasing each other? Yeah, everyone's just talking about 311 and
I think you're good in the chat.
Making fun of Joe. So Quinn, can you stop this recording and start a new one? I'm going to remove this thing. because this next one, dude, you guys don't.